In this video, we're going to look at how to use these tens frames to add up 7 and 6. So the great thing about tens frames is that it helps children understand how to add numbers quickly without counting on. Now, counting on is a really important skill, but you want them to move away from that and begin to count by using number bonds instead. And that's why tens frames are so good. You can see here that each tens frame is set up with 5 on the top and 5 on the bottom. With a tens frame, the idea is that you fill them up in this order. So you start off with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That will be, and the children will recognise that as a 5. They'll see a 5. They'll know that when one half is formed like that, they'll know that's a 5. They'll recognise that as a 4. It'll be something visual as well as they wouldn't even need to count it. We go 6, 7, 8, 9, and then finally fill it up with a 10. So they'll see very quickly that's a 9 and that's an 8. We'll go back here because we're going to do 7 add 6. So when we're using them to add up, you can use them really nicely for number bonds because the children can quickly, the early games you'll play with them will be to just look at the one tens frame, and they'll see there they need to make a 3 to go there with a 7 to make 10. So they'll learn quickly those number facts that 7 and 3 is 10, and they're so essential for early maths. 6 and 4 makes 10. So these are really helpful things to be doing with your children at home. They'll reinforce what they're doing at school as well. Most, I'd say all schools will be using tens frames, and it's a great way to just get them to learn those facts really quickly. And you want to just do it as a kind of game almost, just they can regurgitate that 7 and 3 makes 10. So we're going to go beyond that now and have a look at what happens when you do 7 add 6. We're going to use it to what's called often crossing the tens, which is one of the harder skills to teach the children because it often means they need to know the number bonds really well, and then sometimes the numbers can be quite big, so their counting on strategies can fail sometimes, and often because we have 10 fingers, then once you get past the 10 you've kind of run out of things to count on. Now, some children use strategies of counting where they'll count things around the room, but we want to learn to do that without that happening. We want them to learn using the number bond skills. So we've got 7 add 6. So you can see we've got the 7 at the top and the 6 at the bottom. And I've just put the numbers here to show. So what we'll do is we'll start off now. The idea is we want them to understand that 6 here, we're going to use part of this 6 to help us make up to the 10. So 7 add what makes 10? Well, their number bond skills are really, really sound. They'll know that 7 add 3 makes 10. And what they'll do is they'll come in from here and they'll take their tens frame. They'll go backwards like this, 2, 3. So they'll add 7 and 3 makes 10, leaving, this is the really important bit, 3 behind. So they're learning here that the 6, which we had before, can be split up into a 3 and a 3. So 7 and a 3 makes a 10, and 3 more to the 10 makes 13. So that's a really useful skill, and that skill there of adding on a small number to a 10 and knowing that if you add a 4 to a 10 it makes 14, that's another skill you need to work on with them as well. So this is what you do with these tens frames, and you can do it with all sorts of different numbers as long as you're not going over 20. That's really important to only choose numbers to start with, at least, that don't go over 20. So pick, 7 and 6, 9 and 5, and just show them how to manipulate these shapes here. And we've used different shapes here. We've used semicircles and squares. You can use anything. I'd keep them consistent. So I'd have on one tens frame have one colour maybe, another tens frame have another colour, or one shape and another shape, so they can see here that when you are bringing in the other number like this, that it's used part of the other number to make the 10. So have a go at that, see how you get on with it. It's a really useful skill, like I said, and something that will really help your little ones to improve their maths.